this computer. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Guy Podcast. I used to know the episode number every time, but I forgot. This is a Monday public podcast. If you would like some bonus content every Thursday, it might be a podcast, it might be early release of another bit of content, it might be a vlog or a fucking poem, knowing me. Sign up to patreon.com/Vittorio Angelone if you're into that kind of shite. I would recommend you do it so I can pay my rent. But our guest this week is the wonderful Rob Mulholland, who is sitting very obediently on the other end of the Zoom call. I don't have anything else. I don't have gigs to plug. I don't know. Watch the other stuff that I do as well. But if you're listening to this, this is my least engaged with thing. So you've definitely got here from something else. So I don't have to plug anything else anyway. Anyway, here's Rob Mulholland. Welcome to the show.
Oh, what a joy to be on your least engaged with piece of content. Don't I feel special? Put me on the backup show. Brilliant.
I have to be here every week, Rob. How do you think I feel?
I've got plenty of unengaged with content of my own I could be getting on with.
First of all, just to say, if you're on YouTube, hit thumbs up. If you're on iTunes, give it 5 stars, etc. And if you're on YouTube, take a little second, have a little search for Rob Mulholland's various stand-up specials, Too Big to Fail and Back on the Grass.
There you go. You've actually done a little bit of research. It's amazing.
No, I just like you. Okay.
Well, this is embarrassing, isn't it? Because could not name one thing you do.
No. Is that doing things podcast? Is that a thing? But you're interesting. As I was talking to Sid Singh yesterday.
Yeah.
And we were talking about. I very foolishly went on his podcast called A Special Take. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't actually.
So they watch a stand-up special every week and kind of review it, talk about it from a comedian's perspective. And they initially sent me like a UK comedian who was like, he was big, but like not that big. And I was like, I'm just one too few degrees of separation from that person to go, yeah, fucking hated it. So we did the McIntyre special because they wanted me to do like a UK Netflix special.
You're not crossing paths with McIntyre, are you?
Hopefully not.
Even if you do, he's not watching any shit you're in, so you can fucking get away with it.
So it's just he's bulletproof.
Yeah, he's in another stratosphere.
It's like that meme that's been going around of the crane trying to move that fucking massive boat in the canal. I'm not even the crane. I'm the guy in the crane. But he was saying because he comes from the American background and we're obviously both UK based, and he was literally like, "Why the fuck has Rob Mulholland not been on TV loads?" And I was like, nice. I don't fucking know, mate, because
I do.
Well, go on. Why do you think Rob Mulholland hasn't been on TV loads?
Well, I think a big part of it is that I've spent a good section of the last few years telling the TV industry to go fuck itself. I've not exactly been the most welcoming. I've not been playing the game, have I? I've been like, fuck all of you, your industry's dead. I couldn't give a shit about your sinking shit. Like, it's not exactly what TV producers are looking for. I mean, look, there are elements to it that are, I'm sure, demographic at first. I'm not what people are looking for, and this isn't a complaint. I know whenever I know people will be listening to this and going, a white guy complaining about demographics. It's not a complaint, it's a fact. There hasn't been enough representation in the past. Now the needle's swinging a bit the other way. Good, fine. But that means that they're not looking for white guys in the 30s, right? That's okay. That's how it is. TV isn't my aim. So, I'm just not really what anyone's looking for, and I'm not really that interested because I'm a bit of a risk as well. I'll just fucking say shit.
Imagine fucking comedian saying things
I know, this
brazenly.
is it. Like,
what's the chances? Fuck's sakes.
It's mad, man. Like, it has been the most surprising thing about being a comedian is how much of a pussy most comedians are.
Oh my
saying
God.
Stuff. Just
Oh
about
my
saying, just
God.
say the thing. We're the ones who say shit.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
our
point
job.
of us. That's why we exist. That's why I got into this, because I've got a big fucking gob and it kept
Yeah.
getting me in trouble. And I was like, how can I monetize this?
It was either monetize it or get really good at martial arts.
Yeah, I can't fight for shit, man. You've seen how fucking skinny I am. Like, that wasn't an option for me. I don't have the hand-eye coordination, mate. So I was like, I best, just get funny.
Yeah, that's the fucking option. And I'm interested on your take on this because there was a moment, because you appeared on Doing Bits, mine and Ishan's podcast, and we talked a little bit about industry stuff and that. And that show contained across the whole series contained a lot of like revelations for me of kind of how I'm perceived by kind of more experienced comedians, and also kind of just like a lot of them saying the path that they took and where they might have gone wrong and right, and just like I found it massively valuable.
Yeah.
One thing that happened on the Dan Nightingale episode that I was like, what? Was Dan goes, and look, I spent my whole, like the first 15, 20 years of my career being bookable, getting on with promoters, getting on with clubs, just so I could make myself a full-time comedian from club gigs, particularly around the Northwest. I was very bookable, safe, nothing too out there, stuff that's workable in a club, and so I'm a serviceable club comic. But you, Vittorio, look, you're building this really authentic audience, and look, you're probably blacklisted from a few clubs, but it'll pay off in the end. And I went, I'm what, from where?
I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I don't see why it would be. Like, I've never had an issue. Like, I'm definitely at like the dirtier end of what people will book. But I also like, you got to, you learn the skill of doing club comedy. I'm not doing like my most on the bleeding edge stuff.
Yes.
On a Friday night 20. You can get further than people think. You definitely can. Like, people are up for it. But like, I'm not doing like, for example, on Too Big to Fail, I've got a joke about why black people shouldn't use the N-word. Right? I don't do that in club gigs, really, because I don't know who the audience are, and they don't know me. So, like, there is and sometimes I'm just doing a fucking job, as a club comic.
Yeah.
So I don't think if you are funny and consistently funny, then you'll get booked. If you're not a cunt and consistently funny, that's what people are looking for.
Do you think there's something happening where there's a lot of comedians at the minute going, I've been cancelled because of my material on stage and free speech this and free speech that? And I kind of think, if you hadn't marketed yourself as offensive comedian, your material, your actual material isn't anything that would get you barred from anywhere. It's your marketing strategy that has caused you trouble.
Combative on Facebook with people and stuff like that. Like, it's often they're often not getting booked to a club because they've had a fallout on Facebook with a promoter, and they're like, I'm being cancelled. And it's like, people can just not book you for any sort of reason. There's a club in Manchester that doesn't book me because the booker is dead fat and she's got blue hair, and I made jokes about fat women, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't book me. But I didn't go on fucking ITV going, I've been silenced. I just went, you know what, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's your club, right? You don't want me doing that. I don't want to come to a place where I'm just going to upset people. Fine. And like, there is a really prominent comedian who's a really good mate of mine who I properly love and I think is amazing. I'm not going to name him because I can't be asked being all like drama-y.
Yeah.
But they had a show banned from a gay bar in Australia. But it's like, maybe like an Australian gay bar wasn't the denizen of free speech you thought it was going to be, It was like the venue decided to pull it because they got scared. I would have probably not gone for that venue. Like, I don't think they should have pulled it. I don't think anything bad was going to happen. I think the venue were shitty for that. But you've got to kind of expect that.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
On some level. And it's like, look, one thing we have in common is that we both have bits about the N-word and perhaps shouldn't. There's
definitely an argument to be made there. I will say I have a lot of black friends, like not a massively disproportionate amount. This isn't like one or two, and I did it in front of all of them, and they found it funny. So I'm not having middle-class white women telling me off for it.
This is always the interesting thing, and I'm working on a stand-up video that I think is going to be great. And I have half the footage, but I need the other half. I have a joke that goes tremendously well at predominantly black gigs and horrendously bad at predominantly white gigs.
I've got jokes like that.
And it's wonderful to just like look at them and go, you're all wrong. Like you're whatever you think this joke is doing to whoever you think is going to be upset by it, you're wrong about it. Because
people who've actually experienced racism know what's racism, right? Yeah. They don't have this bit that like white people have where they're like, oh, is that? Like, you know, if you've spent your whole life experiencing racism, then I think you just know. You just recognize it and you recognize where it's coming from.
You build up a thicker skin.
Yeah.
When actual bad things happen to you.
Yeah. No, I think there's very much a big case for that.
You're like, oh, he's just saying words.
That's why Floella from fucking Islington is always the one complaining about shit. Because not a single bad thing has ever happened in their fucking life. Yeah. So now they've got to get upset because someone's like accidentally used the wrong fucking pronoun or whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, look for the intent behind it, innit? There's a lot of people who use really nice language to say horrid shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But we'll park the race chat.
Sure. Because let's be honest, it's not ours to have. we both would, you know, there's a little bit of both of us that sort of believes we are in the in club, but we're not. We're not in the club. We're not allowed.
But the TV thing, because I'm aware that I kind of similar to what you were saying at the start, like I'm aware that I sometimes shit on industry stuff and I'm just kind of aware of it. But I think something that I spotted very early on is that there's a lot of these comedians, number one, pitching things that they could make by themselves to the BBC to make it worse. Mm-hmm. Would have been, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a sketch, and going, oh, my joke didn't get included in News Jack this week. And I'm like, tweet it, they'll steal it anyway. Like,
yeah, 100%. What are
you doing? Like, it'll just be nicked.
Yeah, and it's just, what is the end goal of that? You know, like, it's always like, do this thing to impress a TV producer in order that maybe one day they'll put you forward for a thing that no one fucking watches. Like, it's just, there's loads of hoops, and I've done one thing with the BBC and it made me want to not work with anyone ever again.
Was that the rap battles thing?
Yeah, it was an absolute farce, but it was really instructive for me. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Because like I wasn't in this meeting, but the guy who like organised the rap battles, Wee Man, he told me, like, they were in a meeting with producers, and at one point they said, you're not allowed to say anything that is insulting or offensive. And he said, have you seen a rap battle? It's a rap battle that they had bought this thing and they had no idea what it was, and then like they edited it so brutally and just ruined it. Like they moved things around, so there are callbacks before the setup.
Oh,
like
Jesus
there are
Christ,
rhyme schemes destroyed because I'm running a rhyme through a whole like section of a verse and they've chopped it and moved it around. They made my 2-verse battle into a 3-verse thing. And they just ruined it. They just took all it genuinely looks shit and I'm embarrassed by it. Yeah. But that wasn't my fault. I did all my bit. So I was like, why have we handed this over to them? We could have filmed this on a few cameras and had a sick video.
Yeah.
You know, so I just never want to hand over control to anyone else. You don't need to now. Like, you can make that choice to try and get into TV if your face fits. Comedians like us, we're not what they're looking for, and we can do other shit, and it's better.
And the other thing that I spotted quite early on was that it's not like it just works out. There's so many people that get on every panel show, and they do a good Edinburgh show. they get on every panel show, and then they get tipped out the other side with nothing to show for it other than a few quid.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. And like, even in order to get into that game, you've sort of got to buy the ticket of entrance, which is spending 10 grand at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So you've got to do that to buy the ticket. Then like 1 out of 300 people who do that.
Yeah.
And who have the right combination of things they're looking for. You got to remember, the game isn't open to me, is what I felt when I went to Edinburgh. I was like, oh, right, I'm not even, like, no one's even looking to see if I can get in. Because they look for people who fit certain criteria more than, they're like, this one, we want a woman from the Northwest, or we want an Asian man under 30. Yeah. And they're not going who's funny, they're going who fits these criteria. Yeah. It's just a fact, that's how they work. Again, fine, work how you want, but it means that I was like, all right, I can't play this game. Yeah. So like, why would I even try? Like, I just can't, I've got to go around it. It's my only option.
And I'm aware of like, I think I'm, it's my natural inclination, as I've always been like a bit of a bull in a china shop in everything that I've done. Whether
you're not a subtle lad.
No, fucking classical.
That's why I like you.
Yeah, it's fucking. It does me so much harm.
I can fully fucking relate.
So many people try and fight me all the time. It's unbelievable. I'm just like, what did I? What? But literally, even when I was like a classical musician, I'd be like, get out of my fucking way. I'm taking all the best parts and all this fucking shit.
Get off that marimba, you slag.
Literally, I'd be like, I'm on it. Let me do it. And like, it's the same in comedy. I'm like, boom, I can do all that. I can do it. And very, like, kind of abrasive to some people. And I find it like, I'm definitely too early in my career to go, I've been ignored by the industry. Do you know?
You're fucking way ahead of where you should be already.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's going very well, Vittorio. You need to fucking sort your head out.
Mind your neck in. But I could tell you, if you kept going for a decade and trying to follow the old system of going through Edinburgh and impressing a TV producer, it wouldn't ever open up to you. You are correct in that assessment. You've maybe got the thing that, you know, you've got a strong regional accent, and I think they've finally cottoned on to working class being one of the things.
Well, the problem is, in England, everyone thinks I'm working class.
Oh, but you're
so
not really, though, are you?
No, not.
Yeah, you just. But like, you're enough for TV producers.
Yes,
because you're not from London, right?
So that's literally it. Yeah,
I've seen people with way less claim than you.
This is the thing. Like, I'm fucking. Both my parents are working class, and my grandparents on my dad's side are refugees. So it's like,
yeah. Oh, you could easily spin that tale.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be like, my nonna came over from Italy.
Yeah, but
it's like, but also trained classical musician.
Yeah.
It's kind of not. But then it's so interesting. Like, you come over and like, this is something I want to talk about on stage, where I'm like, growing up, I was a white middle class male. I was Catholic, so I wasn't top of the tree in Northern Ireland.
Sure.
But I was thereabouts. Do you know what I mean? I was like, life's pretty fucking good. And when I went to, like, I played rugby, which is a Protestant sport in Northern Ireland. And when I played rugby, I had all these like working class Protestants around me. It was like a rarity I only realized after the fact, in that it's a working class rugby union team. And like, around the leagues in Northern Ireland full of very posh guys were known as the bin men. Like, that's the fucking thing. And I went in, and immediately, like, it was around GCSE time when I like kind of started to really get into it. And all these people were like, oh yeah, my dad's giving me like 50 quid for every C I get at GCSE. And I turned to my dad and was like, why the fuck don't I get that? And he was like, because you'll get like 10 A's. And I was like, oh, this is different. They want to be, they're joiners, they're plasterers, they're electricians, and I'm a fucking percussionist. Like, it's not it's not the same thing. And I remember the first time, because it's like, for my generation, the Catholic thing, it's not really a fucking thing anymore. Like, definitely in the past, horrific things happened. But I remember, because Protestants, middle class Protestants, still think it's a thing. I remember once after an orchestra concert, like at the Ulster Hall, fucking black tie, tuxedo, dinner jacket, all that shit. And we would go to this cocktail bar afterwards for like drinks. And I was like 15, 16 or something. So I had a Cosmopolitan because I'm fucking fancy, right? And police
And also you're in Sex and the City.
A police van goes past, right? And a middle-class Protestant guy goes, "Oh, how does that make you feel?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, because you're Catholic, police are likely to treat you a certain way."
Yeah.
And I went, "Rowan, I'm in a tuxedo drinking a Cosmopolitan. I don't
You're
think
not
they're
getting a
looking
pat down on your walk home, are you?
You know what I mean?
I think you'll be fine through the checkpoint.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like nothing's gonna happen to me. Like it's just fine.
Yeah.
But then I moved to England to a massively upper middle class institution of the Guildhall School of Music and Drama.
Yeah.
And I'm suddenly like a guy goes, "Oh yeah, I would vote Labour, but if they get in, then my dad will have to pay an extra 70 grand in tax." And I went, "What?"
Yeah.
Why are we both middle class?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
It is too wide a categorization.
It's
definitely.
fucking huge.
There's a real difference between, like, people call Jack Whitehall middle class, and he went to a 250 grand school.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. But I had a similar experience, you know, because I grew up on a council estate when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
But then my mum, whilst we were on that estate, she ended up doing teacher training while she was working.
You won the postcode lottery.
You remember that guy who raced cars around his back garden? That's my dad. Well, she became a teacher, and then because she was smart, she chose RE where there was hardly any teachers. So she became head of year. So we moved to like a nice estate. Like we got a shit house on a nice estate, basically, and did it up.
The Dave Chappelle story of like rich enough to grow up poor around white people.
Yeah, I was like that. So I'd come off the council estate, then we had like a nice house for a bit, and then I went to Goldsmiths Art College. Right, I wasn't studying art, but I did not realise how posh the world I was going into was. Yeah. So I'd gone from being like a bit of a soft lad around my like working class northern mates. Like I was like the artsy one.
Yeah.
And then I went to Goldsmiths, and suddenly I am Jack the fucking lad.
Yeah.
Because I like football, you know, and I've got a Yorkshire accent, so everyone's like thinks I'm like fucking Liam Gallagher.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so strange when that happens, and it's like, I think I started to play up to it. And I know that like genuinely working class people find it really fucking annoying when middle class people pretend that they're working class because they think it'll further their career. Lenny Sherman did a fantastic sketch about it.
Yeah, I did a whole fucking Edinburgh show about it, basically.
And this is the thing. And I've realized this recently that like all unintentionally, I was like playing up to the character that people had cast me in uni because they were like, "Oh, like Vittorio, he's from Belfast, he's fucking da-da-da." And there's a few guys that happened to. There's me, my mate Dan from Leeds, and my mate Luke from Glasgow, and my mate Jack from Newcastle. We're all profoundly middle class, but everyone was like, "Oh, they're the fucking boys."
Yeah.
And it was just like, no. But I think into the first few bits of my like steps in comedy, like the first open mics, I was definitely playing up to that role that I'd kind of played up to in real life as well. And it was
being like more working class than you were.
And just being like, I'm from Belfast, I've got shit to say, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and then what happened was during the pandemic, I built a comedy club in my back garden.
Yeah.
And then comedians came around and went, "This is your house?"
Yeah.
And I went, yeah. And they went, I thought like John Maher, I don't know if you've met him, fantastic Northern Irish comedian, who's based over in London. He got on stage and went, "You know, in London, Vittorio sells himself as this like member of the fucking proletariat, like leading the revolution, all this fucking shit. But look at this place. His kitchen's got an island. What's going on here?"
You see, I'm not like that level. My mum's got a nice little house. Like, you know, like I'm not. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. But I kind of went the other way. You know, I was when I first started, I used to wear like suits.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I wore like weird ones, so it was a bit Jarvis Cockery. It was way too Jarvis Cockery because that was, mate, to the extent that once a newspaper published a picture of Jarvis Cocker instead of me and said, yeah, they said, this isn't Rob Mulholland, but this is a lot what he looks like. But so I had like suits and like people sort of didn't realize I was like poorer than people thought. I think like definitely like I had like experience in like Liverpool, a couple of like Liverpool comedians being like, thought you were like middle class. Like, no, I was like, I grew up on a council estate, you know.
Yeah. And there's all that kind of it's very, there's so much tension around it, and kind of rightly so, because more than people realize, like class is a lot of what makes England tick.
Hugely, and it underpins all the other isms as well. It's all linked into class. Like class is fundamental to all of them.
I would call it intersectionality if everyone who used that word wasn't a cunt.
Yeah. Sorry, we're going to start talking about what's very problematic now.
But it is, and that was a glaring thing where I remember English people would be like, oh, I can't believe your schools are separated into Catholic and Protestant and like grammar and secondary school. Like I still did the 11 plus and all. And I was like, I can't believe yours is based on wealth. That seems so much more mental to me.
Yeah, it is insane. And it's not like we don't have segregated schools as well. There's a Catholic school in the next town over to me in North Yorkshire where like, you know, they would teach them abstinence and everything. And like,
oh yeah, I remember we got taught sex education by a priest.
With some practical demonstrations.
But yeah, all that kind of landscape, and you see these fucking comedians like Lenny Sherman and someone like, and you're just like, and yourself as well. I'm just looking at it going, what's going on? Why doesn't everyone know who Jeff Innocent is?
Yeah. Like, well, because Jeff can't work the internet is his problem.
Yeah, the Comedy Store posted that one clip of him and everyone on Twitter went, this guy's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he is unreal good, Jeff. And like, it's kind of like, it's one of the things I've got on the back burner in my mind is like, I really want to like, I want to build like a studio. I want to be like, own my own production, have my own like team of people who can work on shit for me. And the end goal of that is one of the things I want to do is with those like amazing acts like that, make stuff for them. Just go, you do what you want. I'm not going to rip you off. You make the money. I just want to, because there's so many, there's loads of amazing acts who just can't switch a fucking computer on, who have just incredible shit.
It's we say it about Mickey Bartlett in Northern Ireland. Like if he can only do stand up, like he is not functioning at anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Mickey's just like that all the time. I love him so much, that lad. Yeah. He's like, he just makes me howl constantly. But he's always Mickey Bartlett. Yeah, he's always got this frantic sort of like little energy to him, doesn't he? He's always just like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
It's like he's always like he's just done a massive rail of coke, hasn't he? He's just
and often that is the case.
Well, yeah, sometimes those things overlap. But yeah, like I love him for that. But yeah, exactly. Like, what job are you gonna fucking?
But it's so nice when you see those people. Like Mickey's now started a podcast with a comedian.
Yeah, it's banging as well.
And it's
off in it,
popping off, and there's loads of people getting involved. And I'm like, fucking. Finally, like
Dan Nightingale was the exact example of that in the North. Like Nightingale, like he's my boy for life. He's like proper like looked after me when I first started, and we became really good mates. And like he was always the guy that we were like, why the fuck is Dan not in stadiums? Just the most natural comedian I've ever met. Just beautifully formed, perfect bits fall out of him. Yeah, like I've seen him do stuff brand new, and it just be like a perfectly constructed bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was so talented. And I was like, for ages, like, why? TV's not picking him up. And then he just went and made his own shit. And he tried a few different things. And eventually one of them was Have a Word, and it's massive.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, and that's like his 7th or 8th podcast. So there's a lesson there as well. You know?
Yeah.
Keep throwing shit at the wall. Not this one, because, you know, no one's listening to, as you told me. This might be one of the ones you scrap, lads. But, you know, it's all practice.
But generally, I do think that's a fucking thing that people don't realize, that that even if you do get the TV stuff, you have to have something for them to come back to.
Yes.
If you want to build your following, rather than, oh, I watch Live at the Apollo every week because I like Live at the Apollo. But if you want
Said literally no one ever.
Oh yeah.
Is there anyone who's got that on their fucking TiVo? Really?
I bet there are, but
I think they all work at Avalon. This is why I don't get booked for more things.
Yeah, but fucking hell. And this is so kind of the reason that I had the thought sparked to go, I'd like to talk to Rob, is because, well, firstly, like, I've been horrendously productive over this pandemic. Like, it's just been, it comes from very negative places of just neediness and like.
I'm the same, man. Look, like, you've seen how much shit I've been putting out. It's like you've got the same panic response as me. It's like, oh, I can't control all this shit, but I can control how much stuff I'm making. Yeah, that's one thing I can do. Yeah. And like, I think I very much relate to you. This is why I've bonded with you quick, man. I get you. You're very much similar to me in a lot of ways. Yeah. And it's just, you need to be doing shit all the time, innit? Yeah. And like feeling like you're moving forwards, otherwise you stagnate. And I'm the exact same, man. So this period, I've just been like on the computer fucking making stuff
well, because I got really, really upset the other day, which is a new phenomenon for me. As someone who tucked away their emotions to such an extent that my jaw stopped working for a month. I couldn't close my mouth. That's how fucked up the tension in my jaw was.
That's a level of stress even I've not got to, man.
I'm 24.
And you're a fucking comedian stroke percussionist. How are you this stressed?
It's just put a fucking lid on it all the time, everything that ever happened. Actually, genuinely, and people, I'm sure, are sick of me bringing it up on this podcast, but like, it does stem from, I had severe anxiety when I was a kid, like agoraphobic, couldn't go missed months of school. So very much like, I think the solution to that my brain was to just like not let anything in, and just like everything gets put a lid on, for fear of getting to that stage of everything being scary again.
You're right.
But then the pendulum swung the other way too much, where it was all here, just in my jaw, and I was like, oh my fucking god. And it was mad. Like,
I totally relate, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
So my jaw wasn't working for a week, and then I cried and went, oh, it's fine. Yeah. My jaw's fine now. Why is that a thing?
You just needed to fucking just let it out, man. I'm a crier, man. I'm like way more emotional than that. I'm quite an emotional guy.
For the past month, I've become that. And it's very scary because it feels like a very slippery slope towards where I once was.
Right, yeah.
But I'm just
doesn't have to be though, man. You're much more the captain of the ship now, right? Than when you were a kid. You know what you're doing more. Like, I'm the same, man. I thought I was gonna die when I was a kid. So like, now I'm like fucking do everything quickly. That's why I'm like fucking intense. So yeah, I totally get it, man. But like, you are like, you can just handle things a lot better now. Yeah. Like, you will be all right. You can have a little cry, mate, and you'll be fine. It'll help. Sometimes you need to. Innit?
And this is the thing, and it's been much better, and I've been really trying to work on it. I've been going to Zoom group therapy through the NHS. And a big step yesterday, did it without my ring light on.
Man, that's bleak when you're turning up with a filter for therapy, innit?
And the therapy's like, well, you look good.
You have Zoom enhanced mode on. You got that thing where you can make yourself look better on Zoom. Mate, please go to therapy with like a funny background behind you. Hey, look, it's like I'm in a restaurant.
Hey, it's Meghan Markle. But this, I got really upset recently in one of my, as is my new thing, as an emotionally intelligent guy. I was watching Jamali Maddox's interview with Stuart Lee. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've watched that interview, you know. I love
It's
because I
fantastic.
love Jamali. Like he's just a fucking lad I love, and
Yeah.
like it was great. Really enjoyed that interview. It's really interesting, wasn't it?
It's yeah, so interesting. But I got so scared when they were both like, "Oh yeah, all of the paths," because they're two comedians I look up to, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, the paths we took no longer exist."
Yeah,
and that feels true of everyone that I look up to, pretty much.
Yeah, but that's fine. Like we've got better.
No, it
ones.
is fine.
We've
but
got better paths.
Yeah, that's true. But
they didn't have YouTube, man. We do.
This is the thing. But I feel like I think since gigs have gone away, because you always know that gigging is the one sure thing that if you get better at this, more people will want to come see you. And at the end of
it's
the
the
day,
bread and butter, man.
It's
how I make my living normally, you know.
And that's the thing. But then that went away, and everything else felt like grasping at smoke, being like, "Is this going to be the fucking thing that works? Is it? Oh, this podcast? No, that one. Then the sketches? Do I do sketches? Am I a sketch guy?" And it's just like
you've just got to see it as part of what it's all part of the same fabric, man. Like there's no wasted effort in that, because like if you make a sketch that means one person new finds you and becomes like a fan forever, then that sketch has worked. You know, if one person sees this podcast that you've made and comes in, then that's great.
Yeah.
You just got to look at it as that. It's a slow accumulation of people finding you. And like, they're out there, people who will enjoy what we do.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and it's just a case of them finding us. And like, that's a slow build. But you also need to have enough stuff there when they do find you, because something you do will bang at some point, and then massively viral.
The rest of it needs to be there.
Like the amount of people I've seen like do a viral tweet or something and get fuck all afterwards. Whereas if you look at like Laura Lex, who's got loads of clips online, she did those tweets about Jurgen Klopp. They went massive. Her Twitter following rocketed because there's loads of stuff to find. You've got to have that library there. So just ignore numbers is the best way to do it. It's really hard. I look at them every day, but I try not care about them.
Yes.
Because there is no number that on that screen that will make you feel properly good.
Yeah.
There's not one that finishes it. So you just got to see it as this slow tick up and look at the progress, not where you are.
Well, this is what I think.
That's how I try and do it.
Those quick avenues to success, I find quite often have quite a firm ceiling on them. So like you do all the panel shows and maybe you become a regular on those panel shows, but it's like that's where you're kind of goes to. But then you look at the comedians that are huge in the UK, and Kevin Bridges did all the panel shows once and did it next. The thing is stand up. That's the thing. Whereas I think that quick access where the goal is the panel show, then it's not about stand up anymore.
No, and it's a dead avenue. Like, who gives a fuck about watching comedians play like parlor games? I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, no one like watches that that much. You know, it's not really a thing I'm that interested in doing, to be honest with you. But like, you know, like online, like, you know, there are people like, if you look at like Nigel Lung, he's gone massive off Uncle Roger, but he for years has been working away and like making stuff constantly. So when people saw Uncle Roger and went, "Oh, this guy's hilarious," they saw him on YouTube, they found all his other videos and his podcasts and whatever. And now he's got 1 million followers, you know. It's, you know, and he's got to the level where he's having disagreements with the Chinese government.
That's gold.
So, this is it. When I can cause a diplomatic incident, that's when I know I fucking made it, man. So like it's a cliche, but there's always the long tail of hard graft behind the overnight success. You know,
and it's interesting what you said about the viral thing, because I went viral once before I had anything online. When I was on Countdown.
Oh yeah. That was with the IRA coming up.
Yeah. And me watching myself on the TV.
Made me piss laughing at that.
And it is that also, I mean, I've told this story on other podcasts, but that I think I caused Brexit that day. Because at the end of the show, I went up to Rachel Riley and Susie Dent, and this is a good few years ago now. I said, Oh, I think it's really impressive that you both use your platform to promote things that you believe in. And I meant maths education. But Rachel Riley took that and in the following months tried to take down the Labour Party. And
I think you gave her
I gave her the confidence to fucking to call everyone an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I don't know if Rachel Riley was lacking confidence. If I was Rachel Riley, I'd be pretty fucking confident, to be honest with you. If you are that smoking hot, come on. Like, she's only ever had people telling her she's amazing.
And smart as well, mate.
She's the dream. She could be goose stepping down the fucking mile, mate, and I'd be like, look, right, she's got her opinions. We can agree to disagree, you know.
The thing I wanted to ask, I don't know how fucking long we've been recording.
Oh, whatever, man.
The thing I wanted to ask about particularly was, so yeah, I kind of started this talking about being like this very, very productive over the pandemic. And before the pandemic, I was getting to that stage where I was like, okay, maybe I'd had some small interest from some agents. I said one agent was like, come to our gigs, we're watching you, just keep doing what you're doing. And they were like, any advice needed, come get it. And it's like pure fucking accident that happened. It's because I met Kevin Bridges at a Celtic match. And he was like, this is my agent. And I was like, hello. Which is like just complete luck.
Yeah.
Just like, no, it was when I was up for Edinburgh, and it was so funny. I saw all these people trying to network in Edinburgh, and I went to Glasgow for a European match against FC Cluj.
Fucking circumnavigating the whole industry.
I went, hello, Kevin Bridges.
That's amazing.
And then I kind of thought just before the pandemic, I was looking at like, okay, this stuff's starting to go like well here. I'm starting to get like trial spots at clubs. They're going well. Hopefully I'll start, like I just done Red Raw at the Stand. I just booked my first trial spot at the Comedy Store. I was like, okay, by the looks of the people around me who are signing with various agents, maybe that's something I should be looking at, because they seem to be getting these opportunities that maybe I could get. And I didn't, once the pandemic hit, I was like, oh, no one's going to fucking sign anyone during the pandemic. And then every cunt in the world who had made no things for months was going, after all the hard work, just been signed. And I was like, but I didn't even know you still did comedy.
Mate, I saw someone who's been doing comedy for 2 years who got a TV spot the other day talk about their hard work and dedication. Can you wind it in a bit? Like, congratulations, but also fuck off a bit. Yeah. It's but like also you got to remember that those things, and like, look, I'm telling you these things because I've had these same wrangles over years, and like I've come to a good place with them after a lot of going through it. Because I had that same experience of seeing everyone getting TV around me, everyone getting like big fancy agents around me, and like being like left on the shelf despite being like, I'm funnier than all these cunts. Like I was like, I'm definitely better than all of them. I've been in gigs, you know. I'm definitely out. So I had that experience, but like you got to realize, what do you need an agent for now?
This is the fucking.
What do you fucking want one for, right? Because I've had agents and it's been a pain in the fucking ass. Like, what they're good for is book it. Like, I just want a live booker, right? Someone who does the admin. That brilliant, useful. I hate doing admin, but like someone to like break down doors with the industry who's like pushing your career. I don't want or need that. Because all the things that my former agent, and look, I still like my former agent, he's a nice guy. We clashed heads a lot because we had very different ideas of how to build my career.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to jump through hoops to do pointless stuff to not get on TV. Because I knew that they weren't going to pick me. Yeah. They don't want me. I'm not what they're looking for. So like I was like, well, I'm focused on this, like, you know, I'm building my own thing. He didn't really understand that, and it was just a lot of him trying to get me to like go do fucking shit TV for free. Like, you know, I'm like, I don't want to do that. The day I filmed my special Too Big to Fail in Edinburgh, my agent spent all day arguing with me, trying to get me to go on the afternoon before I filmed it, to go film a teaser. Well, what do you describe it as? A teaser for a potential pilot with a company that's got a meeting with ITV to discuss it.
Fucking hell.
Right, and he wanted me to spend my afternoon doing that and then have half an hour to run over to my special recording. Yeah. And I was like, so like, it's stuff like that. It's like they can drive you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Totally. And you're paying them. Look, there are good agents who can do loads of good things, who can make your career easier. They are few and far between. Most agents are a hindrance, and people just want an agent to say they have an agent. Yeah. Because I know, I did, you know, but like, it's whether it's useful is the issue. Yeah,
well, this is the thing. I got to this point with the we spoke a little bit about it earlier, this kind of online show that I've been asked to do, and kind of it was great because they came to me being like, we like what you do you want to make a pilot for this thing that we're gonna make? And I was like, whoa, just spent like a year seemingly banging my head against a wall, and suddenly there's a gap in the bricks, and I'm going, oh fuck, this has done something. And they came along, I sent them a pilot, and again, because I had spent so long making stuff, like they said to me, they were like, your pilot was so much better in terms of like knowing what a show looks like, knowing how to film stuff, knowing the beats of everything. It was just so much more like, you're just going to be so much easier to work with because you know all of the steps, because in the past you've been the staff on a fucking your own production
this is
company.
it, man. That's the stuff to look at, and that's the stuff I focus on, right? If you've just got if you've gone round all that stuff and you haven't had to make shit yourself, you don't know how to do it. You don't know what to ask of people, and you don't know how to put things together. I've learned so much in the last year about like putting shows together and editing, and like what I can do with that, and like why I do different things with it. Yeah. And like those skills are so useful for the rest of my career. Even when I'm not doing that, even when I'm paying someone else to do it, I know what I can ask for, and I know how to talk to them about it, and I know what I mean. And like, I know how to frame something, you know, just little stuff. I know how to light shit, so I know what I need. All these skills are really fucking useful. I can design posters. I can do everything. Yeah. So like, it means that I know what to ask. I speak those languages, and you're totally right. We make better shit because of it. And like the amount of lockdown TV that I pissed myself laughing, the quality of like, just even stuff on like camera quality and lighting. If I can fucking do it, skint, sat at home in fucking, you know, my house, why can't the BBC do it? You know?
Well, you fucking, you see it with people like Alistair Beckett King on Twitter. You're like, why does all of your stuff look better than everything on TV?
Why? With the budgets that they're throwing at stuff. And he's doing it with like 2 softbox lights and a green screen. Yeah. You know, he's just good. Yeah. You know, but he's blowing up because of that. Yeah. You know, this is it. The thing is, our path is harder, and it takes loads more work, and it's a grind. It's so hard. It's you know, it's not glamorous. It's a lot of editing till 2 a.m. You know, it's a lot of it. I spent so much time sat here just at my computer. But the end goal is worth so much more than going through the old route, because we will own everything. We will have total freedom, total control, and we won't be being ripped off. We have all the power. We have the leverage. Yeah. So I think it's totally worth it. And I've just gone all in on this approach and like, fuck everything else. Like, and the irony of it is, if you want to get on TV, the best way to do it is like this.
Yeah, these days, because they need the following. That's why Nigel Young will be on fucking Mock the Week or whatever the fuck he wants to be. Whenever
it doesn't always work. No one in TV knows who Paul Smith is, despite him being one of the most famous comedians in the country.
Just bizarre.
He is top 5 most famous comedians in the country. Yeah, definitely.
From videos with 17 pixels in them. Yeah, and it's like, what is going on? Like, and everyone thinks, like, I stick my phone on a tripod at the back of every gig and go, boom, that's something might happen. Yeah, that exactly. Will be good. And everyone goes, oh, but are you not worried about, like, do you not want to get like a DSLR? Do you not want to get this? And I'm like,
just make it.
Make it with what you have.
I'm totally that. It is better to produce better quality stuff, and I'm always trying to make my stuff better quality. But the reason I'm now good at making stuff is because I started when I had fuck all equipment,
Yeah.
and I made it with a shit phone camera and a shit 30 quid microphone I got given free from my old job.
Yeah.
Right? And I made everything like that. And like, you learn how to do it, and just actually having it there is better than not doing it. All those ones who were like, oh, do you want to get all the top gear? Sure, but whilst you're waiting around sorting all that out, you've made 5 fucking videos. You know, Mo Gilligan was filming himself on his phone, and he's a megastar now.
Yeah,
you know, it's so much better to just make shit with what you have.
Yeah, and the only point at which I was like, oh, maybe an agent would be good is when I got handed a contract for this app thing. When I was like, am I about to lose my face?
Are you going to have to make a little Dave Chappelle special in 20 years? Go,
excuse me, I want my money.
Yeah, give me my money. I'm only extremely rich. I would like to be extremely very rich. But yeah, like... Yeah,
so it is that thing, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And then, but I just sent
my old agent was worse at negotiating than me, though.
So
he accidentally sent me an email chain once of him negotiating a fee for me, and it upset me.
Yeah.
So you're not guaranteed that that's going to help. You know, you've got to get the right people. You know, if look, Kevin Bridges' agent, I'm sure he can negotiate a contract.
Yeah, well, that's why I like, because that agency have been like, look, if you need any advice on anything, like, just give us a shout. And basically what I do is anytime I have anything that feels impressive, I go, I've got this thing and I was wondering about something. Just and it's just me to go,
do you think the lighting's right on this video that's got 100,000 views? What do you think to this theme music on any special?
And this is the thing, like, because I was interested in your thoughts on because obviously I'm making this show for an app, and it's like for them, which is kind of that gray area of like, oh, it doesn't feel like entire creative freedom, and they cut like one joke per show, maybe 2 sometimes. The one where there was one where I said like, Oprah has condemned Meghan and Harry to death, and then went, you get a car crash, you get a car crash, you get a car crash. And they were like, that's gotta go. And I was like, that's fair. But so it's this worry about like, am I sacrificing? But what it feels like is, look, they have a 6 studio. They pay me well. And they want me to make more. They're open to me just pitching all sorts of stuff. And what it feels like is I'm just going, because I have a million ideas in my phone that I'm not equipped to make yet. So it feels like I can just go, and they'll put money behind the YouTube video. And look, it's not on my channel, but I've spoken to them and been like, look, this needs to direct people back to me as much as it directs people back to your fucking app. And they're like, yeah, absolutely, whatever we can do to support your growth as a comedian, great. And what it feels like is, look, like back in the day, you had like Stuart Lee making shows for the BBC and like making all sorts of different bits and bobs. And it's like, yeah, this is just a new version of that.
Yeah, totally. And like, look, it's, you know, if it's something that's useful that can get you on the way, then fucking do it, man. Like, you know, like you can be a purist all you want, but there's a lot of fucking poor, sad purists, you know. And like, look, I am a bit of a purist. I want to just make things that are completely free to me, but like, I also don't think that's terrible if you respect these people and you respect their opinion. You know, if they're going, look, we don't want this joke, and you go, okay, you know, if it's not something that's fundamental to what you're doing, then that's
the thing is, for the show, number one, ridiculous practice. I write 7 minutes of topical material for them every week, which is like, and I have to do it in a day because it's internet. It's not like news topical; it's internet topical, which is like. Like, it's just like, is it happening right now? If not, there's no point.
Tell me about it, man.
And like, that's mad good practice. And also, it's not the stuff I want to do on stage. I don't like doing topical stuff on stage.
I'm the same.
More about fucking me on stage and like actually.
It just sounds like a winner around this, though, man.
It's like, fucking great. And I had like all these like weird concerns about it. Like, oh fuck, is it going to be like this? Is it going to be like this? And they're just. I'm making all sorts of stuff. And it's actually like, not to be a little fucking corporate boy, it's a sick app. And to prove I'm not being a little corporate boy, I won't tell you what it's called on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's basically, if I'm playing FIFA with you online, we can bet on it through the app.
Okay, well, that sounds unhealthy. But this sounds like the sort of thing that would have ruined my life 5 years ago before I sorted my shit out.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's just like a clever, you could do it with Call of Duty, you can do it with
no, like, I'm sure that'll fucking fly. That's a good idea.
And it's great. And they're like when I looked on their YouTube and they had like one video, which is the classic like 30-second, download the app now. And it had like 450,000 views. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
I'll make this really good. And it's not something I'm massively
and like using other audiences to get eyes on you is how it works, man. Yeah. Like that's part of it. And if you can get paid to do that, then fucking brilliant. I went on fucking TalkSport, man. That was selling my soul. I hate TalkSport. I've got them muted on Twitter because they pollute football discourse with bollocks. Right? Yeah, and I hate them. I went on that, and they were like, they were like, right, Rob, we need you to argue that Leeds are a bigger club than Chelsea. And I was like, all right. And I just shouted as a Chelsea fan for a bit. Yeah. And then they paid me. Yeah. Like, to be fair, I don't know if I'd do that again. I didn't get a lot of good audience off that.
Yes, yeah.
But, I did it, like, the money they paid me was nice. Yeah. And that's important sometimes. I think this is just a win, man. I wouldn't overthink it. Just do it. And
yeah. Like, if I've done 3 episodes and they've booked me for another 7. So it's fucking cool.
Golden, man. Like, yeah, like that's much better than working with like, a massive institution where you have no control.
Oh yeah, like, it's a startup with like 30 employees.
This is it. It's a lot cooler to work with. Like, I have properly come round to the thought that I need to not I need to work for myself, and pretty much everything I do, like something like that, like doing a show for someone else, that's kind of different. But anything I do, I don't want to give to an outside company, even because I've even worked with like comedy, like sort of production people in the UK who I think are amazing. But like, as soon as I handed over the control, I hated it, and I just didn't enjoy it as much. So anything that's like my project, but if someone wants me to host a thing and pay me and like get me to like write it and host it for them, cool, that's a great job. Yeah. Those are 2 separate things. I think having your own thing that you've made, giving it away is different to that. Yeah.
And it's better than fucking teaching. Do you know what I mean?
This is it, man. This is what I always come down to. Like, it was a thing where, like, in comedy for ages, people are like, oh, like, I've seen a corporate for 600 quid. It's too little. No one should do it. We should all stand firm so we keep corporate prices up. And I was like, that is half my month's wages for working in a pub. You can get fucked. I'm doing it. Like, I don't owe you shit. I'm sorry. People if you've come from a proper job, being in comedy is like, oh, fuck, right, yeah. So much better.
At the start of the pandemic, I, partly because no one was asking me, went, fuck Zoom gigs. I wasn't asked to do any, but it's much less embarrassing to go, imagine doing this gig.
It's not real comedy, man.
Which I think actually a lot more people did than they admit to doing. So many people were like, yeah, what's the point in a Zoom gig? And then somebody recently was like, oh, do you want 100 quid for 10 minutes? And I went, yeah. From my bedroom. Yes.
This is it, man. I'm speaking to a women's institute who want to book me to do their gig. They've seen me at Edinburgh.
Unreal.
So I'll go on your Zoom chat. Cool, yeah. Yeah. Pull your slacks for a bit.
So good. And it's hard. I find, do you have a Patreon?
Yes, I do, yeah.
That one's an interesting one to try not to think of them as bosses either.
Yes, I know what you mean. There becomes that pressure of you need to keep delivering for the patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, yeah, you can't you can't focus on it too much, because I'm at a sort of point where, as well, like, basically, if you're signing up to my Patreon, it's because you like my shit and want to support it. There's not a lot of extra shit on the Patreon because I'm too fucking busy. I'm making loads of shit for free, right? Everyone gets access to all my stuff. That's the kind
of a lot of the ethos of mine, where it's that kind of look. If I put pretty much everything out to everyone, and if you like it enough,
it's voluntary. Yeah. But like with that, when I get to a point where it's earning me enough money, or when I'm back to comedy as well and I've got an income, I will hire an editor to take 70% of my workload off me.
Yeah.
You know, and I won't have to edit shit anymore. So I'll have so much more free time and I can produce far more. And that's when they'll get that reward. But I think some people genuinely go, I like this guy. He's making his own shit in his own house, working really hard on it. I'll chuck him a £5 a month to keep him going.
Oh yeah,
you know? So
I've had crazy generosity of
mate. Some of the shit has been a little much. There was one guy from America who, look, I cannot thank him enough. But it was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Like, yeah, and but amazing. Some people are just dead rich and have some shit to, you know.
Yeah, and look, they'll either pay you for your comedy or they'll pay some woman to call them a slug or something online.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've just gone one day without having a German woman shit on their chest.
They go, I'll chuck that guy some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a difficult thing where I'm like, again, yeah, same as you. Thank you fucking so much to everyone who is on the Patreon. But also, like, I can't let and I did a post on it recently where I was like, because there's a balance, right? Where I can do 20 things well, but I can't do 20 things well at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to go to them and go, look, you guys are the patrons. What out of these 17 things that I want to do but can't do all of, what is your preference of those things that I already want to do? It's not going, what do you want? Because I've seen that online recently where you see comedians making things that they think everyone will like rather than making things that they like
that is a very important thing. Like whenever I like, cause you know, like it's nice to get people involved and they want to be involved. And like, that's part of it. Like it's so I will ask them like, look, I've got a couple of ideas for a Rob Mulholland Has an Opinion piece.
Yeah.
Which of these do you want? And then I'll do the one that they want.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like I just, you know, I'm like, I'll make either of these. I'm good. Which one do you want? That's cool. Yeah. That's nice. That's just involving people, you know. But that's very different to when people are like, oh, this is the sort of thing that goes viral, and I'm really trying to, because people aren't dumb, like, and people don't want that. Like you can always tell, like on Twitter, when someone's got too many hashtags on their tweet before the video, it's going nowhere.
Well,
someone sees that wall and they go, it's desperate.
Well, some people do want that. Like, I'm not going to name names, but I've had to mute a few comedians who've done some sketches on Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Have gone massive. And I've gone, it's quite telling when you see no comedians like any of the things that they make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's obviously an audience for it. There's an audience of people who are having a terrible year, are riddled with anxiety, and just want something predictable. Jokes they've heard before.
Yeah.
By a different white face. And it's just like, okay, number one, I don't think that'll translate to ticket sales. And also, if I make that shit, if they come see my stand-up, they'll phone the police. Because that's what happened to Tommy Tiernan. Did you hear that story of Tommy Tiernan?
No.
Mate, so he's Tommy Tiernan. He is one of the best stand-up comedians in the world. Yeah. And like talks about all sorts of mad shit in all sorts of mad ways, right? Gets the gig on Derry Girls as the dad from Derry Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Gets exposed to this whole new Derry Girls audience. And Derry Girls, in my opinion, one of the best sitcoms in recent years. Think it's fantastic. But it's broad and loads of fucking people watch it.
Yeah.
He then sells out a show in Belfast, which he probably would have done anyway, but maybe a slightly bigger venue. Loads of these new Derry Girls fans show up. One of them went outside and phoned the police and the DUP.
That's amazing, man. You can't buy that publicity, though. I wish someone would call the police on me so bad.
Yeah.
But
it's like, Lenny Bruce had it easy.
Yeah, you do have to be careful what audience you get. Yeah. I think that's very much a thing. Like you know, there's people are just trying to, you know, make anything that they think is going to connect with people. But like, I am not interested in, there's a lot of content that comedians are making where if you enjoy that, don't come to my show.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't want you there. You're going to have a bad time there. I want people who, you know, like my shit. And like, that's the point of being on the internet for me.
That's the point of being a comedian for me.
Yeah, is that I don't have to jump through hoops.
I'm not an actor. If I wanted to be a character, I'd be a fucking actor.
Exactly. So I just want the people to come to me who like what I'm doing. And if you don't like it, cool, great. Don't watch any more of my shit. I don't want you to. I don't force it on anyone. They've got to find me, you know, and then we have a nice thing where they get what I do. So yeah, I don't get that. I don't have that urge for like, I don't want everyone to know me. I don't want to be a mainstream successful comedian, to be honest with you. I want to build my own style of success. And like, I want to be in my own little niche, remember a little bubble. You know, I don't want a joke I've made to be a headline story, to be honest.
No.
I just want it to be in my own little world with people who get what I do. And like, that'd just be nice, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen loads of, I know comedians who are like amazing comedians who've got a gig on daytime TV. And then the whole audience is just like grannies. And then they're doing like cum jokes, you know?
I mean, I think it's pretty well known as like, that happened to Paul Sinha. He was on the fucking
that's literally who I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like,
because Paul's an amazing stand-up.
I've heard he's just like, I've never seen him, but I've heard it's just like crazy, like so good.
Oh, he's like, he's just, his stage presence is amazing. He's really calm and just like, but his writing's so beautiful and he just performs. He's an amazing stand-up comedian, but like, he's not like a beginner level comedian. His stuff's complex and there's like complicated emotions at play within it. And it's not really suitable for a load of nanas, really.
Yeah, and it's the same with someone like, I heard a story of Ian Sterling when he first did Love Island on the tour after, and he just like as a little nod to it had a Love Island water bottle on the stool before the show started, and everyone got up and took a photo with the water bottle, and he apparently was backstage like, oh.
It's definitely a thing, and it can go the other way as well. There's definitely people who have started podcasts that have lent a little to the right, who are going to have some real smelly virgin audiences when they go and do a live show. That it's going to be all the fucking neckbeards like off Reddit if they ever turn up and go out. But it's like, you know, you got like, I'm really conscious of that because I'm like a comedian who says shit. I don't want that audience. I want like, you know, a lot of my audience are smelly and I like them, but you got to be like the right sort of like person who's into that. You know, I don't want Nazis, right? If there's genuine hate behind your laughter, I'm not interested in it. You know, I like people who like fucking about. That's it.
Yeah, and an interesting case, I was talking to a comedian, Aaron McCann, who's a Northern Irish comedian, who's moving to London in July, actually. He's very, very funny. He is a Shane Gillis stan, like absolutely loves him. And he said that's what he loves about Shane Gillis is he had if you don't know who Shane Gillis is, he got hired by SNL and then historical podcast footage.
You made it sound like a historical sex crime.
Yes. Basically, he said some bad wrong words in the past and got sacked from SNL. And I'm sure you feel, or I'd be interested to know if you feel this pull as well. Like I've had moments where people have like come for me online, whereas and like a bit like brazenly. And I had a guy who I'm so angry about this, and I talk about it too much. But he's a friend of a friend from school, so like didn't go to our school, but like was at all the same parties when we were 16, 17. And then he came to one of the garden shows, loved it. He was in my kitchen, drank from my tap. And then I post a clip about a news story from a solo podcast that I did.
Was it the Captain Tom one?
It wasn't the Captain Tom one. Which is now really, I unlisted it the week he died because I was like, people are going to be searching for it and this is not what they want to see.
Yeah, I did the same with a Leeds footballer who was in my worst Leeds United 11 of all time. So I knocked him out when he passed.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
It was about the podcast was called Victim Blaming with Vittorio. And
I feel like if you're listening to that, you should know what you're getting into.
this is the thing. It's like a kind of meandering, weird, trying to find different takes on this very terrible subject.
Sure.
And he retweets it and says, this Belfast comedian is rightly being called out for victim blaming. And like, this is disgraceful, absolutely horrible. And in my head, I'm going, this Belfast comedian? You mean me, whose house you've been in?
Yeah.
Stop trying to distance yourself from me with your weird Twitter words.
Yeah.
Like, it's so strange. And when that happens, like, on some level, I go, if I was just genuinely a cunt, less people would get annoyed at the stuff that I say.
Yeah.
Like, if I just go full Nazi, it'd be less hassle.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I know what you mean, and look, like, it would be a really great career shortcut for me if I just learned a bit right.
Yeah,
it would really help me out. Like, I'm sure on YouTube it'd have a massive audience and all that.
yeah.
But you can also get to that same point by just not giving a fuck about criticism and feedback.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to like go that way. It's just when someone complains, you just go fuck off, and then like,
Well,
here's a worse thing I've said before, and then there's nothing they can do to you.
This is the Shane Gillis thing, where he obviously off the back of that was like a load of really alt-right cunts went to him like for an embrace, and he went, no, you guys are just as weird. The people on both sides of this are fucking insane.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be either of them.
It's the only pure comedic stance to take, I think. Yeah. And like, either way leads to like just brain poison. And like, you can easily like, you know, see it happen. Like, if you go too right or too left as a comedian, you just end up in like choppy fucking waters. So like, anytime I feel like people are getting a bit comfortable with me, I like to just shake it up and like, you know, go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Like, to whatever you think, I want to just mix it up. I don't want to be predictable.
The thing that I love thinking of when I do shit like that, often if I get something does well on Instagram, whether it's a sketch or whether it's the Sunday roast or whatever, it does well on Instagram, a bunch of new people follow me, I will deliberately post a poem that week to go, but also maybe you're not up to this. Do you know, like maybe you're not quite where I want you to be.
But that's a really important part of like building an online audience people don't realize, is that you need to filter it as well. It's not just about growing it, it's about making sure it's the right audience. So like, I don't mind people unfollowing me, cool, but this is what it is. I ain't changing it. If you want to be involved, come get here.
Well, what I always think of, because I used to get quite stressed, and like on some level I think the natural instinct when someone unfollows you see that number drop, you kind of go, oh fuck, what was it? Why was it? Who was it? What the fuck was that? And you get like, I used to have those unfollowers app, so you like know who unfollows you.
Brain poison.
I'm just like, oh, I'd go away. Like, I just can't have it.
Yeah.
But there's a great thing I always think of, and Alfie Brown, who is one of my favorite comedians in the entire world. Man. Absolutely
fucking love Alfie.
On his agent's website, he's referred to as a room-splitting comedian. On his Instagram, he refers to himself as a room distilling comedian.
That's brilliant.
And every time someone unfollows me, I go, good, I have purified my audience slightly.
Because like, anyone who's going to get upset at anything I've said or like complain or whatever, they're not someone I want sat in fucking row 3 of my show. You know, I want people who are coming to have fun and just have a laugh and aren't taking it that fucking seriously. So like, whenever there's someone like, I get loads of people in like YouTube comments complaining that I swear in my videos, and I just always, obviously, a barrage of swearing back at them, because like, I don't want you about, if you're a grown adult who's upset by swearing, you're not going to enjoy my 3-minute riff on fisting, are you?
No. Why are you watching it?
Yeah, like, you know, so it's definitely filtration. It's really part of it. It's important.
Well, I think we'll fucking call that a podcast. If you have enjoyed this podcast and have made it to the end, you now have to watch at least one of Rob's specials on YouTube.
You know, if you want to be entertained for free, fucking check them out.
Exactly. Is there anything at the minute that you want to plug particularly other than them?
I've got a podcast called Fool's Gold, which is me and my mate Mickey talking bollocks. But yeah, just check me out on YouTube. Is the best place. Everything I make pretty much goes on YouTube. It's like my main thing. So.
And this will be on YouTube and on all your various podcast things. As I said at the start, if you're on iTunes, hit subscribe, hit the 5-star thing. If you're on YouTube, hit the fucking thumbs up job, and hit subscribe if you don't already. Hit the bell. You're supposed to say that as well. Hit the bell.
I'm really bad at saying all these things, man. Like, I just, I'm always like, there's so many of my videos that end with like, if you want to follow me or whatever, do. But if you don't.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this podcast, like I said, you probably already have consumed my more commercially viable ventures. But if you enjoyed it and want some bonus content every week from me, jump on patreon.com/Vittorio Angelone. I might put my sitcom pilot script on there soon, just as like a fucking, fuck it, why not? Like, just like, why not? Just because I think I like to keep it different. I don't want like just a bonus podcast every week. I want it just to be like all sorts of shit. So you get, it's that thing of like posting a poem when I get a boost in followers, just to go, oh, but actually this is, I also do these things like this. It's all a bit fucking varied and different, and I aggressively refuse to be pigeonholed. But thank you so much for listening. We will do the fake goodbye for the podcast, and then I'll hit stop recording on the Zoom.
Bye.
Bye for the podcast.
Bye.